In the age of empires, a single block of salt could buy its weight in gold, fuel a continent-wide cartel, or trigger a revolution, and fortunes measured in today's hundreds of billions depended on it. How did a mineral most of us ignore become the medieval world's most ruthless commodity? To crack the story behind the $400 billion salt empire, you have to follow the money, straight into the pits of West Africa and the heart of imperial power. A single slab of Saharan salt hacked from the earth by hand could fetch its weight in gold, sometimes more. But there was nothing golden about life at the mines. Tagaza and Taodeni looked less like towns and more like graveyards for the living. Pits 5 meters across and 4 meters deep, gouged into the crust of ancient lake beds. Miners, most of them enslaved, spent months underground chiseling blocks so uniform you could stack them like bricks. The only structures for miles, houses, mosques, even the prison, were built from salt. According to Ibn Battuta, the place had no attractions except the promise of profit. Miners stitched their earnings into secret pockets, hoping to escape with a few slabs before the desert or their overseers caught up. Each slab weighed up to 90 kilograms, so heavy that it took 2 men to lift. Camels waited by the thousands, 4,000 in a single caravan, each loaded with 4 or 5 slabs, forming a slow-moving river of salt across the dunes. Food and water came only with the next caravan. The only thing that never ran out was salt and sand. At the southern edge of the Sahara, the real theater began. Salt traders and gold merchants met without a word. One side would lay out their slabs and retreat. The other would approach, leave gold dust, and vanish again. No haggling, no handshakes. Just a silent ritual repeated until both sides agreed the deal was fair. It was the world's most awkward marketplace, but in an era when trust was measured in distance, it worked. If the stakes sound absurd, so did the scale. 4,000 camels, 1,000 men, all for blocks of salt that, in the right hands, could buy kingdoms. A single camel caravan crossing the Sahara could pay more in salt taxes than a modern trucker pays in diesel. In the heart of the Ghana Empire, every load of salt faced a 1-in, 2-out tariff, 1 gold dinar to bring it in, and 2 more to take it out. That's like paying a toll of hundreds of dollars each way on every donkey load. Royal clerks tallied each slab, their ledgers swelling as caravans funneled salt south and gold north. But the real fiscal wizardry happened further upstream. Mali's rulers, inheriting Ghana's playbook, enforced a law so strict it bordered on economic alchemy. All gold nuggets above a certain size belonged to the king. Merchants could only trade in dust, while every big chunk was seized for the royal treasury. This wasn't just greed, it was market control. By hoarding the largest nuggets, the empire squeezed supply and kept prices sky high. Then came Mansa Musa. By the early 1300s, his grip on both salt and gold routes made him richer than any oil tycoon today. When Musa set out on his famous pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324, he brought so much gold, up to 18 tons, that Cairo's currency collapsed for a decade. Prices tumbled, markets panicked, and the value of gold in Egypt dropped by as much as 25%. Historians estimate Musa's fortune in today's money at over $400 billion, more than the GDP of most countries. All of it built on the back of salt taxes, gold monopolies, and a bureaucracy that turned every caravan into a royal payday. Venice treated salt like a weapon, and the Mediterranean as its battlefield. At the height of its power, half of all Venetian imports by volume were salt, and the city's officials engineered the market with the precision of a modern cartel. Every merchant ship entering Venetian waters was forced by law to carry raw salt as ballast, no exceptions. The government guaranteed to buy every load, then resold it at fixed, eye-watering markups, sometimes 10 times the original price. To keep prices high, Venetian administrators paid workers on Crete, one of their own colonies, to sabotage local salt pans, shutting down any rival supply before it could threaten profits. Statutes set margins, spies enforced quotas, and anyone caught trading outside the system faced ruin. Venice didn't just control the salt trade. They manufactured scarcity, wrote the rules, and made sure everyone else played along. For centuries, it worked. In pre-revolutionary France, salt wasn't just a seasoning, it was a government racket. The gabelle forced every household to buy a set amount from royal depots, no matter the price or need. By the late 1700s, this tax funneled nearly 22% of all royal revenue straight into the king's coffers. In Paris, families paid up to 10 times the base cost, the equivalent of over 4,000 euros a year today, just for salt. Smugglers, known as faux sauniers, risked prison or worse to move untaxed salt across provincial lines, turning whole villages into black market operations. Royal tax officers stitched workers' pockets shut to stop theft, but the real theft was legal. When revolution finally hit in 1789, the gabelle stood near the top of the people's grievances, a tax so hated it helped bring down a monarchy. Salt didn't just bankroll kings and topple monarchies. It literally became money in places the mint couldn't reach. In Ethiopia, traders carried amola, hand-cut salt bars so uniform they doubled as currency, stamped and stacked like cash, with a single block able to buy a week's food or a decent goat. Dowries, taxes, even imperial tribute could be paid in salt, and the further you hauled it from the Danakil mines, the more it was worth, sometimes doubling in value every 100 miles. In Tibet, yak caravans loaded with salt slabs snaked across the 3,000-kilometer-long tea horse road, trading salt for tea in set ratios, brick for brick. For centuries, the price of survival moved not through banks or treasuries, but on the backs of animals and the shoulders of merchant herders. Proof that in the medieval world, salt was the closest thing to a universal currency. Salt no longer bankrolls empires, but every supermarket aisle hides echoes of that old monopoly. Power still clings to what we can't live without, and fortunes always follow scarcity. Thanks for watching.